Hi everyone, welcome to our very first pilot of this debating podcast. I'm Sebastian and my co-host is Dirk, right here in front of me. Today we'll debate on the following question: is it worth going to Mars, the planet? But before we go into the details of that debate, let's explain how it will run. So it goes in three parts. The first part is that each side will have 2 minutes to deliver a speech presenting their arguments in favor or against that motion of going to Mars or not. Then the second part will be another 3 minutes each to respond to the other side's initial arguments and possibly add further arguments to defend their case. And finally, we'll have 1 minute each for closing remarks. Dirk, would you like to present yourself?
Hi, I'm Dirk. I'm the co-host of this new debating podcast.
But what's interesting about you is that you're actually an active podcaster already. And I'm not.
That's true.
I have no experience in this.
You have no experience in that.
Absolutely not.
You're like a pro. Yes, I am. I am running 2 shows already.
Okay, so what we did yesterday, because this is a pilot, we actually already flipped the coin to decide who would be for and who would be against the motion. So it turns out that I, Sebastian, will be for the motion, that is, it is worth going to Mars, and Dirk will be against it. Now we're going to flip the coin to know who's going to start with their first speech. So, Dirk, you're heads, and I'm tails, and whoever has their side of the coin will start the debate. And it's heads, so Dirk has the pleasure to start the debate. Okay, so whenever you're ready, Dirk, you have 2 minutes, and then I will start my own speech.
Perfect.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's get started.
I think it's not worth going to Mars, and my reasons are threefold. Number one, I believe economically it's just not the useful and sensible thing to do. It's very expensive to go to Mars. Elon shared with us the current projection. He says it will come down to the cost of the equivalent of one house in the States to fly to Mars if we follow his plan. And I like to remember everyone that there are still plenty of people on the planet that cannot afford a house. If we spend that kind of money on, I don't know, giving everyone water or making sure everyone actually has a house, I think that is a more useful use of resources than flying to Mars. Also, flying to Mars will pose quite a number of expensive challenges. So you have to build the infrastructure. You have to create the rockets that fly you there, the cities we're going to build at Mars and such. It's not coming with a ready-built economy of its own. So it's not a given that we will see the, let's say, call it a return of investment anytime soon. And I think this kind of money, this kind of resources is better spent elsewhere. The second argument is an argument of practicality. There are actually plenty of places in our solar system that are easier to reach than Mars. Mars just happened to be the poetic one, that one everyone kind of has in its mind. How about we start with having a base on Moon, which is easier to reach because it's in our system and we don't have to wait 22 months before we come back from there. And here I'm running out of time, so I'm not getting to my third argument.
you can add this afterwards, right? You have a second part with an additional 3 minutes, which is not just about responding, but maybe for your additional, back pocket argument, just to like hone in on your
boom.
Okay, let's reset this. My turn, 2 minutes, and indeed it's very quick 2 minutes. So I'm kind of tempted to respond to you, but the game is, or the exercise is actually not to respond, but to actually give you my initial speech. So it's a bit tricky because I have some of the counter arguments already. Okay, my 2 minutes. I have a dream. I have a dream that by 2100 we will have colonies in various planets, and we have to get started somewhere. And I have that dream that indeed humanity will survive, right? That we will not nuke ourselves with nuclear weapons. You never know what's going to happen in North Korea. You never know what's going to happen by accident if Trump presses the wrong button, right? So I am very, very eager for humanity to maybe give itself another chance to survive, maybe beyond 2100. So let's get started quite quickly in finding another planet. And Mars will not be enough, by the way, because of what's going to happen to the sun in, 4.5 billion years? And it's tomorrow. Christ's sake. The planet exists for 4.5 billion years itself? So it's literally tomorrow. So we better get started somewhere. So we find indeed maybe going to the moon first, then to Mars, then to another planet, then to another solar system. And I think yesterday I just read in the news, we just discovered the universe is 10 times bigger than what we thought. So great. I mean, we'll find hopefully another planet, another system where it's livable for a human species. But for this, you need to get started somewhere. And I had that dream that we can indeed reach that possibility fairly quickly. So my argument here is that we should get started fairly quickly, and we can talk about money, and I'll talk about this in my later argument. And the dream aspect is also another thing. It's a shiny project. People want to dream. People want to have a hope, to look forward to something. When people landed on the moon, I think it was a huge thing. I remember my mum telling me she was watching TV for this. Imagine reaching Mars. I have that dream. Okay, your turn, Dirk, and I have to change my timer to 3 minutes. So for this next section, you have 3 minutes to add further arguments, and then you can also respond to any of my points. You ready?
I am ready. I like how you said that we should start somewhere and need to go to Mars to basically have a second base for humankind in case something goes wrong on Earth. So some might argue that this is exactly what is wrong with that idea, because after trashing Earth, we go on to the next planet instead of solving the problems we have here. Also going to other places in the universe, well, the closest planet to a system to ours is Proxima Centauri. And if you fly with today's physics, that is, to that system, it takes you several decades to get there and back. So my guess is we're going to be stuck with our planets here in the solar system for a while, and probably maybe making Earth the best place in that solar system is something we should continue pursuing. The other argument I was about to make is an argument of sheer practicality. Mars is just not a very habitable planet by any chance. So it has temperatures between 0 and 70 degrees below Celsius, and is generally not suitable for us to breathe on, to walk in the sun. All these beautiful pictures with those mountains are actually taken out of almost vacuum atmosphere. And we just don't know if we really can survive longer than, let's say, a year, which is the maximum survival rate right now that we have experience with in the ISS, which is still kind of close to Earth, so we can't do something about anything that comes up. So my counter argument to you is it's not really practical. And it's a danger to our own current habitat if we basically say, hey, we have a replacement, so we don't have to take care of our problems here because we're extending the pace. If we put the same kind of resources that we spend for going to Mars into protecting our Earth, for instance, having something like the Hubble telescope orbiting the sun instead of the Earth, and therefore seeing asteroids and other dangers that come our way early enough so we can do something about it. That would be a better investment of resources in my book. And I believe also, dreams aside, still something to dream for, even if it's not people walking on Mars. Finally, I believe there are, if we make the argument of learning something about our own ecosystem and extending it, sending a robot to Mars is probably the more practical solution.
Okay, thank you, Dirk, for this enlightening 3 minutes. It's my turn to get those 3 minutes now. All right, so I love your argument. Let me start with the final argument you had, sending a robot. Well, it turns out we've already done that, so let's do better than that. If that's your dream, it's not enough for me, clearly. Okay, I'll take your arguments one by one, actually. So you said it's not very habitable. Well, there's global warming on Earth, so I guess a lot of people will enjoy a bit of the cold weather if it's too hot. I'm joking, of course I'm joking, but I believe in the progress of science, right? We may recreate an atmosphere. In fact, we have been talking for planet Earth, right, of injecting stuff in the atmosphere to try and fight against global warming. So, I'm a bit worried about what we're going to do to this planet. So, might as well, use it as another planet as an experiment to see if we can actually recreate an atmosphere. Who knows, right? Who knows what we can do here? Finally, sending, people to other systems. Well, yes, it may take several decades. The thing is, well, maybe we need an intermediate base, right, to actually be able to propel yourself to some other system. And again, you need to get started somewhere, because at any point, in any case, the sun will become a red dwarf, and it's going to just englobe the entire solar system. So we will have to exit it at some point if we want to survive as a species. Starting somewhere, you said we should solve the problems on Earth first. Well, and not, destroy another planet. Well, maybe you can choose who goes there, right? We don't have to go together. That's perfectly fine. I think, from, in Germany, you're environmentally friendly, so maybe you get a free pass. But honestly, I think we can choose. We don't have to send, Trump there. Or maybe we can send him, and only him, and North Korean leaders, and,
okay,
we can actually choose.
Side.
On the same side. Fantastic. So let's go to Mars. Thank you. We haven't even finished the debate, but I had further arguments, and it was actually the counterpoint of what you were saying around the economic aspect of it. The thing is, we're talking mostly about private money, right? So private money, basically, we do whatever you want. Yes, Obama has said a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, that he wants to have Americans go to Mars, or humanity go to Mars, but case in point, right now, it's mostly private money, which is funding a lot of the research. So, anyone can choose what they do, where they want to do in that current capitalist system. Also, what's important with that dream aspect is what we've seen in the past is when you have these space projects, you actually have an influx of students who actually want to be in science degrees, right? So it's actually a good way to incentivize people to actually do a bit more of engineering and physics at university. And finally, it is also, from a science and research perspective, a good way to learn about our own origins of life and maybe learn more about medicine, agriculture in an environment which is very different. So yes, I do maintain that it's worth going to Mars. Okay, we have 1 more minute to close off, and you start whenever you want.
So clearly you like comparing a 10-year-old rover with today's AI and robotic machinery. I would argue that is something that is to be disputed. And I believe dreaming of other places in our solar system and dreaming of a clean planet is worthwhile pursuing. The general idea of going to other planets within that time frame that our sun has yet to live, I actually think we're gonna go to Mars sometime. I just don't think that it needs to be in the next 100 or 200 years. So in those, 6.4 billion years that we still have to live, I'm not convinced that we need to start now with habiting Mars. I think there are other places to explore.
Fair enough. My turn. Okay, it is not incompatible to preserve Earth and going to Mars. It is not incompatible to fight against hunger and get people educated on this planet and go to Mars. There's enough money around the planet. It's just not distributed very well, right? I think it's a very well-known fact, and we can look into studies around this, but this is not the issue, right? We can do multiple things at once, and we have a lot of people on this planet. Hopefully there's a lot of talent, so that gives you a lot of opportunities to explore. Finally, people want to dream. Let's look at the success of Star Trek, of Star Wars. I'm not even a big fan, but actually go and see the movies. And it's exciting, right? You actually go there and explore the outer boundaries of the universe with the spaceships. Come on, don't tell me that you have not gone to the cinema and seen these films or downloaded it or, streamed on free streaming websites. Come on, you want to dream. You've seen Interstellar. You've seen all these films. You want to go out there. I have a dream. You have it too. We're done. Okay.
I
Closing
want
up.
an undersea base. I want to live on the moon. Can we do these things first? We keep doing the second step because we didn't. It's like starting with the second million because the first million didn't work out.
Fair enough. Well, the thing is, we've already gone to the moon, but the problem is, as you probably have read in the article, is that. The nice thing about Mars is that it has almost similar gravity, a third of the gravity, and similar rotation, right? In terms of the day is almost as long as on planet Earth, so it's easier for us to accommodate.
I actually read up on that one, honestly, and the interesting piece is we don't even know if we can function for a long time with a third the gravity. So a lot of the life on Earth depends on the parameters you find here, including the gravity. So it's an interesting question. For instance, can we perceive children at Mars? It's not. It's not sure.
Yeah.
Can we? What is the? And I didn't get into that. But what is the that made it to my arguments list? Actually, when I thought about it. What is the damage done to your body while you're traveling there? It's quite a bit of radiation out there, and on Mars too. So you have to get there, and basically we have to live underground.
In Fukushima too, there's a bit of radiation.
Still, people living underground usually are not very happy.
I agree, but I think it's interesting for research purposes. I mean, to be honest, I'd be scared to be among the first explorers, right? But then
I wouldn't buy the first ticket.
If you can imagine, like you would recreate maybe an environment where it simulates the gravity, where you live into this, a dome or something, or you have a suit which somehow reproduces this, so your organs don't just like float around in your body because you don't have that much gravity. I don't know. I'm just excited to see what could happen. I just wish I were born today, or like in 100 or 1,000 years. Oh my god, I'm so frustrated. I hope I think I'm immortal actually. I'm going to live.
Yeah, so far I didn't die, so statistics works for me.
Oh, Well, I've got a few health issues here and there, so that's not going great. Okay, should we just like? should we? Okay, so that's it. We're done with today's debate. Let us know what you thought of the debate in the comments of our whatever website we're going to give you. Don't hesitate to let us know what better or other arguments we could have used to make a better case for either side. Thanks very much for listening. Any final words, Dirk?
Thank you so much for making that a great debate. And now, I think you kind of won. Have to admit that.
You're too generous.
No
okay.
final words.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, I'll start the recording.
Next time I'm gonna be prepared up to the roof.
Oh shit! I was hoping that was the most you could do. Otherwise, because it's fun. I like to win. Clearly, I have won, right? Okay. Okay. My turn. Let me finish.
In terms of discussion quality, you did.
I have the massive final argument because you can't finish
Give
after
it to
me. No, it's not true. I actually don't have anything more. But.
Recordings of whatever I'm saying.
I'll use everything against you.
Yeah, you should have shared recordings. I put my own camera next to that.
Okay,
so
just to be absolutely certain, right, you are Dirk and you agree to be recorded on video here and on the
I am
on
Dirk
audio. And I'm going to give you a paper to sign it as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Because, you never know, like German rigor.
Well, the Americans are famous for the lawyers, not the Germans.
So what law does apply here? It's New York, right? It's U.S. soil.
Yeah, so...
Anyway, you give your consent. You're gonna suffer, man. This is serious stuff. Yeah. What's gonna happen to the sun in 4.5 billion years? And it's tomorrow. Christ's sake,
Yeah, so if you put in your famous sense of humor, we're gonna get to Mars and back.
Okay, good. I love you too.